Hello and welcome to the Diva Talks live show. I am your host, the Diva. I'm so excited to introduce my return guest, but before we get to him, I have to send a very special happy birthday shout out to my auntie Irene, who will be turning the big 70 on tomorrow. So happy early birthday, Auntie Irene. Can't wait to celebrate with you on tomorrow. Also, do not forget to share, watch, but share this show tonight for your chance to win a beautiful piece, not this piece that I'm wearing, but a beautiful piece from Glamorous Embellishments. I'll show you the piece. I'll put it in the comments, so make sure you watch for it, but share. Now, back to the business that we're here for. Please welcome my special guest, Mr. Joe Moore. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Diva, how are you tonight?
I am good. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back.
No problem. I told you, I said, this is a platform. Anytime you want to come back, you are welcome. That offer still stands. It doesn't expire, I should say. But some things have changed since the last time you were here in June. And we're going to get to that. But if someone missed the show in June and not in the city of Buffalo and don't know what's going on, tell them who you are, what you do, and the position you're running for next
Absolutely.
Tuesday.
So my name is Joel C. Moore. I'm an attorney in Buffalo, New York. In terms of my background, I have a chemical engineering degree from Howard University. I have a MBA from Case Western Reserve University, and I have a law degree from The Ohio State University. I've been practicing law in this area for about 11 years now, and that law has included a municipal attorney with the city of Buffalo, an attorney with the Buffalo Board of Education here, a federal prosecutor, and currently I work for Erie County Surrogate Court, where I do wills and trusts. I'm running for Buffalo City Court Judge, as some of you may know, and some of you may be finding out, and that election has started. We're early voting here, but the main portion of it will be November 2nd. Most people will go out. So that election is literally right around the corner. So we're in the thick of campaign season, but for me and my perspective, there's a race. There are 4 positions available and 5 of us running. I am one of 2 minorities who's running, and I run based on the fact that I believe that I'm well qualified as well as well suited to represent my community, and given the individuals who flow through that court, who are primarily minority, many of them male, I think it's important that we have representation down there. Individual who's going to be empathetic, an individual who's going to work to get individuals to grow and make better decisions moving forward, an individual who always thinks prison should be the last choice and prefers to use mentorship and positive experiences as a growth mechanism to avoid jail. So that is my platform. That's what I'm running on. That's what I believe that my community wants and needs. And I hope to be able to represent them downtown on the bench starting in January.
Wow. Now, let me just go back a little bit, because now I know how old you are, but for those who don't, you have a resume out of this world. If you don't mind sharing, how old are you?
So I'm 40. I just turned 40 in August. Yep.
40. Hey, congratulations, reaching that milestone. You
Thanks
have
so much.
done a lot. So you're young, right? Young,
Relatively.
smart, intelligent. Why you? Why should someone pick you to be a judge?
So in particular, I like to say that for any position, including judge, you want to pick someone who's well qualified and well suited. Now, in terms of well qualified, I mentioned my educational background and I mentioned my variety of legal experiences. And so what that gives me is a pretty good handle on the law. City court deals primarily with misdemeanors. Those are criminal penalties that are less than 1 year. And it gives a judge a lot of discretion to fashion potential dispositions, meaning you can do everything from, your mentoring programs to, if you had to do it, jail and everything in between. So what you want up there is someone who's creative. What you want up there is someone who's empathetic. What you want up there is someone who is from, particularly, I believe, the community, and I'm born and raised on the east side of Buffalo, who understands the experiences of many of the people who are flowing through that court. Who does not have a bias that looks at individuals who come to that court and say, you are inherently bad. What you want in a
Mm.
judge up there is an individual who says, even if you've made a mistake, you are still full of potential. And we want to develop that potential for the benefit of you, for the benefit of your family, and for the benefit of your community. Sadly, there are judges who I believe, based on their conduct and their sentencing, don't have our community's best interest in mind. But we have a powerful currency in the vote, and we can use that to change the way the bench looks and the way our judges operate.
So how long is this position? If you're voted in, how long would you be in this position?
So this position, guys, is 10 years. And I like to tell folks it is very different than the executive branch, which is a mayor and county executive and them, and the legislative branch, right? They have much shorter terms. You're generally talking 4 years, and sometimes you're talking 2. The judges have very long terms. So the city judges and the town judges in this area have 10-year terms. The county judges have 12-year terms, and the Supreme Court judges have 14. So when you vote for a judge, you have the benefit, if you make a wise decision, of benefiting from that from 10 years. But conversely, if you make a poor choice, you're stuck with that choice for 10 years or more. So you really want to be well-informed and intentional about who you vote for a judge.
Wow, that's a long time. So you just turned 40, you're voted in next week, and you have that position throughout your 40s, and then you're about to turn 50 when it's time again. What do you think? Are you going to be able to adapt to those changes? I mean, it's generational changes. It's just so many things. How does that come into play when you are a judge?
So one of the things that I've mentioned is because of my age, and many of the judges are older. I would say probably if I'm on the bench, I'll be slightly younger than probably the youngest of the judges, and significantly younger maybe than some of the older judges. The ability to relate to who's coming in front of you. Many of the people who will come in front of me will be candidly, 20-something minority males, Black and Latino. So when you're saying, I understand where you come from, I empathize with your experience. When you're telling me a story, I'm not automatically assuming that you're not telling me the truth because you've been arrested or you've been in front of me. I'm saying I probably had some of those experiences too, or I had a friend or a family member who did. I know it's within the realm of possibility that you weren't treated right. I'm not assuming anything going in. You're going to get a fair shot because I, again, look at you as a human being, and you're not guilty just because you've been charged with something. So now we're going to figure this thing out, but I'm not going to give the police or the district attorney the benefit of the doubt.
Okay. Awesome. That's great. That's really something for people to think about. Mm-hmm. Really, really, really. So some things are different from the last time that you were here in June. When you were here in June, you had mentioned you were a write-in candidate. Mm-hmm. Tell us what's changed.
So a lot of people didn't realize, family, I'm a Democrat. I've been a Democrat my entire life. And I sought the support of the Erie County Democratic Committee to run for judge. And in essence, kind of what I was told was, well, Joel, we like the way you present yourself. We think your credentials are good. Maybe in 3 or 4 years, we might consider you. And my thinking to that was, well, why should my community have to wait? Why, if this is a city election, should my community have to wait until the powers that be are ready to have someone from my community up on that bench? And I said, I respect your opinion, but this is a democracy. I have a right to run. And, they kind of looked at me and then politics became politics. So I ended up in court. They said, I had handed in 1,890 signatures. They said, Joel, we think you have 3 bad signatures, and we're going to dismiss your petitions because we think you have 3 bad signatures. And the judge said, 3. And the judge said, yep, we're going to do that. And family, this is why judges matter, because let's be candid with ourselves. If I didn't look like me, if I didn't come from where I come from, chances are that decision would have been different. But it is what it is, and they decided what they decided. And so all of my Democratic petitions got knocked off. And so I wasn't able to run. I didn't lose the Democratic line. I literally was not permitted to run and earn the Democratic line. And as a result, other people got that line. Now, call it the grace of God or whatever you like. But the Conservative Party was out there and they were watching and they said, Joel, again, we like the way you present yourself. We're willing to back you and you can have our line. Now, we know it's not a major line, but your name will be on the ballot. And, we believe that we have a strong party as well. So you will put your name on the line. And I said, you guys, you understand that I'm a Democrat and that even though I'll be on the conservative line, I have, democratic values. In their mind, that's not necessarily a conflict, right? Some Democrats are, middle of the road or conservative. And so they said, we're fine with that, Mr. Moore. And I said, all right, we can definitely work together. And they've been supportive. So now I find myself as a Democrat on the conservative line, but people can find my name, which is great.
Right. That's awesome. Congratulations. Good. I mean, I applaud you. I felt, in meeting you for the very first time that your name should appear on there. And so I'm just happy. As I stated before, I don't get into the politics back and forth. You vote for who you vote for, who you feel that you need to vote for. I'm happy that people will be able to see your name. And I'm happy that you have described to them what you have to offer. One thing that I will say, you were speaking about the community and you talk about the community a lot. Ever since you've been on my show back in June, I've watched you, doing different things in the community. And when you're doing it in the community, it doesn't look like you're even campaigning. It's like you're going to a friend, a family friend, or just someone that you know. What makes you different in that way? Because like I said, I see you on Facebook, social media, and you're just out there. You're sweeping streets, you're passing out coffee, you're just doing all these things, and you're just like a nephew or a cousin. It doesn't seem like you're campaigning. What makes you different?
So really, when I speak, when I go visit churches, when I visit groups, I start off and I say, hey, family, because it is. Buffalo is 1 degree separation. We are basically a small knit community. So when I am out doing these things, it's like I'm helping an aunt or I'm helping, a cousin, because in effect, I really am. But I enjoy that part. I enjoy giving back to the community. I really have been blessed to get a lot of benefits in my life, right? I got to go to a pretty good school and I had, parents and family that stayed on me and encouraged me to do things. And so I've been given a lot. And so, the adage, right? To whom much is given, much is expected. And so now I've garnered some of these abilities, I've developed some of these abilities, and now it's time for me to give back. And so these have been opportunities for me to do so. And so I take that as a serious charge, as a debt that I owe, and as something that I can enjoy, because if I can help someone out, that makes them feel better, but that makes me feel better too. So it works well as a synergy.
Keep it up. Keep it up. Another thing that I wanted to bring up is I know you sent out a mailer and some may have received it and some may not. But what I noticed on your mailer, which is a little bit different than other people's mailers, were that you weren't attacking the person that's running against you. You basically stuck to who you are and your son and things that you like to do and why people should vote. This is almost like a dog eat dog type of thing when you come to politics. How do you stay away from that? And what made you do a mailer like that, which was awesome?
So, the judicial, particularly Buffalo City Court, we're a smaller election typically. We don't have as much money. And so mailers are definitely one of the ways that I have to reach out to the community where I can't get to everyone's door. And so the question becomes, if I'm only going to interact with you once, how do I want you to see me? And if you got my mailer, you see me, you see my son next to me, who I call, my future legal partner. And I'm about that, right? I'm about community, I'm about family, and I wanted to send that message. And so I wanted to choose that picture. Candidly, judicial candidates have limitations, so we're not permitted to attack one another, at least not in public. Sadly, some of the candidates aren't the friendliest behind the scenes, but you got to be true to yourself. Win an election, lose an election. At the end of the day, I have to be comfortable with my conduct, and that conduct isn't a Joel is this way in his life, and then Joel is bogus or a different way in the political realm. Joel is Joel, as far as I'm concerned, wherever I'm at. My mother raised me with some sense. She has certain expectations of me, My family raised me with some sense. They have certain expectations of me, and that's going to permeate into every realm of my life and my conduct. Now, do I ever fall short? I'm a normal individual. I certainly do. But it's incumbent upon me to present myself like I was raised with some sense, and I'm going to do that in every realm of my life, including when I'm running for office.
Awesome. Very, very good, Joe. Like, what is it that you like to do? So I know this you've been campaigning, letting people know who you are, and you've been out there. But what do you like to do in your spare time? What's fun
So,
for you?
I like to work out. I like to run. I have a second degree black belt in judo. So I've been doing that for about 20 years. So I like to do that. I love to read. I'm a big New York Times guy. So I try and get a few articles on every day on all sorts of things. Sometimes, depending on the mood, it might be politics. Sometimes politics are overwhelming. Buffalo family, I know you guys are overwhelmed with politics right now. I get it. Sometimes it might be some science stuff or some lighthearted stuff, just something to develop and pique my curiosity in my mind so I continue to grow and learn and try and develop myself. So I like to do that. One thing I've gotten to do that I love that really kind of flowed out from pursuing this position, I participate in WUFO on Saturday mornings on the Sam Radford show, and that's education centric. So I told you all that I had that 3 years of legal experience with the Buffalo Public Schools, but we talk about the issues in the system that are affecting our children. And I'm a big proponent of this. How your child goes, how your children go, how your schooling goes affects that next generation. So it dictates where this city is going. Now, when you look at this city, we're the third poorest city in the nation of our size, right? And so how do you stop that cycle of poverty? The only true way to do it is to change the thinking, the mindset, the skill set of that next generation. And so being able to touch and analyze and explore what's wrong with our educational system and how we improve that has been a pleasure. And I'm so thankful to Mr. Radford and company for allowing me to be part of that conversation.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, will you continue that after next week?
I told Sam, I said, win or lose. I said, win. As long as the administrative judge doesn't tell me, Mr. Moore, you can no longer do this. And that's, the kind of the judge's boss. As long as the Judge Hanna doesn't tell me I can't, I certainly will. I really enjoy it. I enjoy interacting with both Sam, Emmanuel, his son, the guests we have. So I'd love to keep doing it, but the job may have some restrictions. So in that respect, right. So we'll see.
And that's what I was gonna ask you too. You win, you become city court judge. How would that affect you as far as being out in the community like you are, like doing some of the things that you like to do? I know there has to be some type of line drawn in the sand, what you can and can't do. How does that work?
So the radio show is one thing because you're expressing opinion, and what a judge wants to avoid is expressing opinion on a subject that's going to come before him or her at some point. Because then if he or she has expressed an opinion and then it comes before them, the party's going to think there's some bias one way or another. And you want to avoid that. So that's why judges often don't weigh in on a subject. Having said that, expressing an opinion and putting in the elbow grease and things you support are two very different things. And so going out, supporting the community, interacting, and just being present. One of the biggest things that I talk about that I think is beneficial to have an African-American male on the bench is simply folks from my community seeing me and saying, he comes from Humboldt, East Utica. If he can do it, I can do it. Those young people need to see. I mean, people think it's cliche, but being able to see it allows that imagination to peak. And then That's they say true. Again, why can't I do it if he did it? And they're absolutely right. You can do it. And so it's incumbent upon the leaders to be out there, the judges, the mayors, et cetera, to be out there showing themselves and telling their story so these kids know they can do all these things as well.
So speak to the children right now, that 11th grader, 12th grader, or even person in college. You have a lot. Like I said, your resume is long. Speak to that person who's thinking about becoming an engineer or a judge, or, what's some good advice you have for them?
So oftentimes when I go to career fairs and things like that, and I'm speaking to juniors and seniors, I tell them I'm a lawyer. They're like, first question is, well, how long did you have to go to school? And I say, well, I had to do 4 years of undergrad, and then I had to do additional 3 years for law. And that's pretty much the end of the conversation. And sadly. And so here's one thing
Wow.
we've actually been talking about on the show, but you really want to get kids thinking this way early on. Senior year is not the end of your educational journey. It's
Right.
just another step in it. We have to ingrain in our kids that they're going to be in school. Some of them, the ones who want to pursue these types of things, longer than that senior year. Because what happens when you run a race and you're saying, hypothetically, I'm going to run a mile, and then you get to a mile and someone says, "All right, I need you to run 2 more." You're
Hmm.
like, "No, that's not the deal we made, right? That's not what I
Hmm.
had in my head." But if I tell you up front, I might give you some water when you hit a mile, but the goal is 2.5. The goal is 3 miles. Now you've got that in your head. You can get your mind right and shoot for that. So I don't want people to be intimidated by the fact that you have to go to school for another 4 years, for another 3 years after that, when you want to pursue being a doctor, a
Right.
dentist, a lawyer, a teacher, a principal, whatever have you. You take it one semester at a time. If one semester at a time is too much, you take it 1 week at a time. 1 week is too much, you take it 1 day at a time. That's really all you can do, one assignment at a time. But you knock that out. And when that's done, you go on to the next one. And the journey of 10,000 miles starts with one step. That's
Mm.
how we do this thing, one step at a time.
That's some great advice. I'm definitely going to use that. I'm still in that. I'm
More
definitely
than
going to
welcome
use
to
it.
it.
So next week, Tuesday, what is your day looking like?
So I will be up about 4 a.m. putting out lawn signs at the different election polls. So, family, when you don't have these big budgets and you're not one of these big races, you are the manpower, right? So, me and a small team of folks will be running around like chickens with their head cut off, putting out these lawn signs, trying to help people remember that I am an option on the ballot. So, I'd love to say a couple of things about strategically how you might want to go about voting, if you don't mind.
Please. No, not at all. Go right ahead.
So there's this notion. So I had a question actually a couple of weeks ago. Somebody came to a fundraiser and he said, "Well, what happens, Joel? There are four positions available." They said, "Well, what happens if I don't vote for all four? Will my ballot get kicked back?" And I said, "Well, no. If you actually read, kind of the fine print, it says vote for any four. And what that means is you can vote for none, you can vote for one, you can vote for two, you can vote for three, you can vote for four." So that was an important piece of information. I didn't know that some people didn't know, so I wanted to share that. Here's the second part. When you vote for candidates that you don't know, you kind of make it more difficult for the candidates that you want to win because you're moving all of the candidates forward. And now I'm going to give you a little bit of inside politics. The other candidates are telling their camps to only vote for them, that one person. So every time they vote, their candidate's moving forward and the rest of the candidates are left behind and they need to catch up. Meanwhile, us as a community, we're going in and maybe oftentimes voting straight Dem. So we're giving everybody a bump forward. We're making it more difficult for our candidates to win. And so here's what I want to say to you. If you are going to vote next Tuesday and you see candidates that you've never heard of, that you've never spoken to, who you don't recognize at all, don't vote for them. And that's even if it was me. Don't vote. Do not give your vote away. Your vote is currency. You would not frivolously spend money. So if you don't know these individuals, if you haven't learned anything about them, if you haven't seen a trusted source like maybe the Challenger or the Criterion or Diva Talks back these folks, then you don't need to go with them because you don't know who you're voting for. Just because they have Dem behind their name, they're not for you or for your community. Just because they have Republican behind your name, they're not for you necessarily or for your community. Just because they have Conservative behind their name, they're not for you or for your community. Let me flip that. Just because they have Conservative behind their name doesn't mean they're against your community. Just because they have Republican behind their name does not mean they're against your community. Just because they have Democrat behind their name does not mean they're against their community. We as a people have to stop voting for parties and start voting for candidates that are willing to work with us and push our agenda. Parties be damned. That's the way it needs to be.
Wow. So let me just make this clear. The ballots will not get kicked back if it's left blank. Some stuff is left blank. They can't kick it back. Okay.
Not at all. You do
Vote.
not have to vote for you don't have to use every vote that you have. Never.
Wow. You hear that? You do not have to use every single vote. Vote for who you know, not just because the name is up there. Vote for who you know. Vote for who you've seen out there in the trenches doing different things, such as Joe Moore. Wow. That was some great nuggets. You mentioned the Challenger and you also mentioned criteria. I hear you have an article that was written up about you. Is coming out when?
It'll be in the Challenger tomorrow. I recently had an opportunity to attend a jazz festival that the Colored Musicians Club put on, and one of the bands was did a dedication to Nina Simone, and one of the songs they did was Blackbird. And it just spoke to me when they did it, because throughout this political season, as I've sought the support of certain individuals, you know, they've always came up with whatever excuses. You're good, but maybe in a few years, or we don't know if you're right for us right now, or whatever have you. Your experience seems to be insufficient, even though I have the same experience as everyone else, or better, right? And it got me to thinking, it's like that song by Nina Simone when they say, Blackbird, why you want to fly? You ain't never going to fly. That's the message they're sending to you. And so what I write about a little bit is my experience in this, and saying, you can fly as high as you want. It was never under their control. The trick was them making you think that it was their decision to make. It was never their decision to make. It was always your decision to make. You can not only fly, but you can fly as high as you want to. If they don't give you permission, nod, say thank you for your time, and keep it pushing the same way you were going to push it anyway. Because the reality of the situation is, some people that purport to be for you are not for you. And you can't let people dictate your dreams.
Wow. As always, you have been nothing but a pleasure to have. I'm excited about what next Tuesday is going to bring forth for you. I can't let you leave again without letting everybody know who you are and what to vote, how to vote for Mr. Joe Moore. One more time.
So I'm Joel Moore. I am running for Buffalo City Court Judge because I believe our community needs to be represented downtown on the Buffalo City Court bench. You can find me, lifelong Democrat, on the conservative line. I will be in that first column, not row across, guys, column up and down. Joel Moore. There are 2 males, candidly, because you won't see this on the ballot anywhere. There are 2 males running and 3 females. The 2 males are minority. Everyone else is not a minority. Now, that should not control how you vote, but just so you know, because I have the only lawn sign that actually has a face on it. So one wonders why, you know, what are we hiding here? But I'm the only one that has a face on it. So, you know, going in there, candidly, I'm an African-American male, and I'm telling you, I'm from the east side of Buffalo, born and raised. I'm proud of it. That's something I'm comfortable with and I'm standing on. The other candidates should be comfortable standing on who they are and where they're from as well. But when you all get in there, when you get under judge, again, it'll say any 4. You don't have to vote for all 4. If you have a very strong candidate or 2 you want to support, I encourage you be strategic. Vote for that strong candidate or 2. That way you make sure that your community or your vote is truly counted. I'm not discouraging anyone from doing it, from voting for 4 if that's what they choose and they want to support all the candidates. But let's start thinking and be strategic about how we go forward as a community.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck. Thank you. Don't change anything, but add to that resume. That's all I need you to do. Just add to your resume, because you are totally awesome. You are doing things in the community already. Continue. We need to see more faces like yours, and people who are doing things for the community, from the community. Totally appreciate everything that you have done thus far, and looking forward to things that you will be doing after Tuesday.
Thank you so much. God willing, I can come back in a few months as a judge and tell you what the experience has been like. So
yes, I'm going to come to you in your office. That's what I'm going to do.
I like that.
I'm going to come sit in your office and do the interview. That's what we're going to do. Is that a deal? Let's make a deal.
Absolutely.
Yes. Thank you, Joe. I appreciate you. I know I'll see you out there, because I'm already seeing you. I'll see you out there. And again, absolutely. You always have a platform here for anything that you want to share, anything that you want to do. I'm wishing you luck, people. I hope that you've listened to what Mr. Moore has given you, some free advice, some things that I didn't know. I've been voting for years now that I do know. So thank you for that. As always, Joe, don't go anywhere. Thank you so much to everyone who watches. I don't know if anyone realized this, but Next week will be 1 year that the Diva Talks live show has been on the air. I get emotional talking about it because I can't believe it. I'm so excited. We have a lot going on next week. We have a 1-hour show. So from 7 until 8, we are going to have a lot of things going on. My special guest is actually a family member, Mr. Lamar Mackey, aka Hollywood, aka Razor Sharp, whatever you want to call him. I'll have my team who started with me here, along with some other special guests that will be stopping by the studio. Get ready for another awesome show, because every show has been awesome. Every guest has been awesome. And I'm just excited. I'm overwhelmed and just blessed and thankful. So make sure you tune in next week, Tuesday, after you vote. Okay, make sure you get out there. If you didn't start your early voting, make sure, look for Mr. Joe Moore's name on that ballot and do what you know is right. And tonight, I want to say share this video. Share in the comments. Put shared in the comments. And Sean will see your name added to the wheel. We'll draw tomorrow morning by 10 a.m. Announce you by 12 noon. Tonight, my 2 breast cancer survivors, and yes, I did say 2. I'm giving away 2 since this is the last month of the awareness month. But it's going to be my very good friend, Miss Mo Betta, and then another coworker, Miss Lori. I'm going to be gifting them those 2 from Glamorous Embellishment. Sean Thurman, we can't thank you enough for what you are doing to add to this. So we thank you, thank you, thank you. The earrings I'm wearing are from Glamorous Embellishment. They won't be gifted, but you can purchase them. So make sure you give Sean a shout. Show her some love as well. The jewelry is very, very, very great, and it's very inexpensive. Once again, thank you so much for joining me. The cup I brought tonight was for Mr. Joe Moore. It's be still and know, Psalms 46:10. He stood still. God knew. His name is on the ballot. Make sure you go out and vote next week. Talk to you soon. Have a blessed week. See you next week. Bye-bye.